I've worked night shift at Walmart for 3 years. That means mopping up spilled sugar at 2 a.m., dealing with drunk coupon extremists, and listening to the ceiling hum like something alive. By now I'm numb to weirdness, but that night, the weirdness was focused. It was 12:22 a.m. Outside, drizzle streaked the sliding doors so the parking lot looked like it was underwater. The store smelled like cheap mop soap and that fake, fresh mountain scent from bathroom aerosol. Layaway had been removed, so the back wall was just empty pegboard like a skin peeled bare. The shift started normally. I logged into self-checkout, loaded receipt paper, wiped the fingerprint smears off the screens. Seasonal clearance had decorations dangling like tired ghosts. A couple walked through buying allergy medicine. A group of teenagers laughed too loud near the candy section. Just background noise. Comfortable. I ran a quick sweep of the grocery aisles, checking dates on yogurt. That's when I noticed him the first time. He stood by the refrigerators, wearing a yellow vest. Walmart vests are navy blue. His was reflective like safety gear from roadwork. Cheap, plastic, too clean. He held a clipboard against his chest with one hand and used the other to trace the edges of door handles. Slowly. Like he was learning their shape. He didn't look up as I passed, but when his reflection hit the freezer glass, his eyes snapped to mine. Cold. Focused. My stomach tensed without reason. I brushed it off, telling myself temp contractors show up in random gear sometimes. But he wasn't checking equipment. He was watching people. I went back to self-checkout. Minutes passed. More customers rolled through. Energy drinks, ramen, cheap makeup, the night's usual diet. I saw the man again, now near produce, pretending to read a sign. Except he was facing away from the vegetables, his body angled toward me. Footsteps echoed from behind a pallet of bottled water. Sharp, then slowed. I looked over. Nothing. When I turned back, the man was suddenly closer, just beyond the end cap of discounted cereal. Clipboard angled so I couldn't see what was written. "Find everything okay?" I asked, voice too bright. He tilted his head like he didn't understand the question. "I'm observing," he said. "Observing what?" I radioed for manager presence. Static. A moment later, a voice replied, "Copy. Flat. Too flat. Like someone imitating human tone from memory." A chill moved through my spine like a slow zipper. I left the register area under the excuse of returning a misplaced item. In pet care aisle, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like insects. I checked the tags. I pretended to straighten kitten litter that didn't need straightening. Footsteps again, one row over. Quick, then stopping when I stopped. I shifted to aisle 17, housewares. Empty. Shelves of bleach, sponges, gloves, things that always feel clinical. I peeked down the long aisle and at the far end stood the man. Perfectly still. Clipboard held flat to his stomach. Eyes locked on me. No blinking. His backpack was unzipped slightly, revealing a folded blue Walmart vest inside. My vest. When I turned the corner, he followed at a slow, calm pace. Not sneaking, just closing distance like it was inevitable. I bumped into another Night Stalker, Benny, pushing a pallet of dog food. I whispered, "Who is that guy?" Benny gave a half shrug. "Maintenance inspector, I think. They subcontract weird stuff, but the vest was wrong. Disaster crew vests are orange, equipment inspection vests are green. Yellow meant nothing here." I stuck close to customers again. When I hovered near two guys comparing HDMI cables, the man paused at the aisle entrance and faced the shampoo bottles instead, pretending to read labels upside down. His eyes flicked sideways, tracking me through the mirror on the pegboard panel. I cleared my throat, acting natural. "Need help finding something?" I called out. He didn't answer. He just turned and disappeared down the aisle that led to the restrooms. That should have been the end. But every time I rotated back to self-checkout, I felt watched. A tingling on the back of my neck, reflection glimpses in chrome, camera domes, freezer doors. At 1:10 a.m., I took trash out to the compactor behind the store. The back hallway smelled like bleach and warm plastic. The red exit light pulsed. I pushed through to the fenced loading area. Fog curled around the dumpsters like something sleeping. The compactor rumbled, and then I heard it, soft footsteps behind me, not rushed, patient. I froze with my hand on the trash bag. "Need help compacting?" The voice was calm, directly behind me. I turned. The clipboard man stood in the alleyway gate. Fog swirled around him like he had brought it with him, his backpack now zipped, the collapsed vest inside gone. "I'm supposed to be here," he said, not defensive, declarative, like he was daring me to disagree. I can radio a manager," I said. "You won't get them," he replied. Those words didn't sound like a threat. They sounded like a fact he'd already tested. I backed toward the door. He didn't reach, didn't chase, just watched like I was data he needed. Once inside, I pulled the heavy door shut. My breath felt sharp. I found safety in the grocery aisle, next to a couple debating brands of oatmeal. The man didn't follow inside immediately. That gave me false hope. By 1:38 a.m., I convinced myself he'd left. The store felt normal again. Radios crackled with genuine voices. Benny whistled to himself while stocking cat food. I even laughed at a customer's joke about expiration dates. The calm lasted 10 minutes, then a soft cough behind me. Not sick, just a sound to announce awareness. I turned slowly. He stood at the corner of aisle 15, clipboard now open toward me. On it were crude, shaky sketches of aisles, arrows between them, circles around blind camera spots, X's marking end caps. One circle was labeled in neat print, self-checkout. A smaller note, isolation zone. I felt my knees weaken. "Who authorized you?" I asked, forcing firmness. "Nobody," he whispered, "and that's the point." He closed the clipboard. Calm again. Too calm. I bolted to the front registers, nearly colliding with a customer service associate. I told her quietly what happened. She blinked, confused. "We don't have any inspectors scheduled tonight." Relief flickered, then stress doubled. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded and suggested we stay near each other. She agreed. We walked out to gather carts together, the final check before cleaning. The parking lot was mostly empty. Fog made the cars look like crouched animals. Drops tapped the cart handles like tiny nails. Halfway through, we noticed a dark sedan idling near the far lamppost. Its headlights were off, interior lights off. Only the faint red glow of a dashboard camera blinking. "Maybe security," she said. Security always kept headlights on. Then I saw movement in the back seat. The corner of a yellow vest folded neatly. My throat closed. A voice called out from behind us. "Need you at garden." "Cash pull." My coworker squinted. "Who's that?" It was the clipboard man standing by the garden gate. Gate locked, lights off. Cash pulls are done at customer service, never outside. "Manager asked for both of you," he added. "What manager?" I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he began to walk slowly toward us, calm, predictable steps, clipboard tucked behind him now like something hidden. My coworker whispered, "Run." We pulled the line of carts between us like a fence and sprinted for the vestibule. The automatic door struggled to open fast enough. I slapped the emergency bar. The second alarm of the night screamed across the parking lot. The clipboard man froze mid-step, not startled, calculating. He stepped back into shadow as a security guard came jogging out from behind the soda machines, hand on his radio. "Sir, stop!" the guard shouted. The sedan rolled forward slowly, passenger door opening just wide enough for a silhouette to slip inside. The clipboard man melted into the car like liquid shadow. They drove away without headlights, swallowed by fog. Police came within minutes. We showed them camera footage. They watched him peel a shipping label and slide it into his badge sleeve like a fake ID. They watched him stand behind customers, staring over shoulders, learning the register interface. They watched him draw aisle maps and housewares. "What's he looking for?" I asked. The officer said quietly, "Not theft. Something else." He was studying behavior, timing, access points. Investigators combed the training computer. One of the video tutorials had been opened earlier that night. A 15-minute clip teaching employee break habits and common closing procedures. He'd memorized it. Walmart corporate flagged our store. For a week, undercover staff circulated at night. We reported every unusual vest. Nothing, but the aftermath stuck harder than the event. I walk outside in pairs now. I park under camera domes. I never answer anyone calling me to garden. If someone says cash pull, I require a manager's face. 2 weeks later, I found a small package in my mailbox at home. No return address. Inside was a folded blue Walmart vest. In the pocket, a clipboard page torn from the top with a circle drawn around my street name. I slammed my door. I called police. They logged it. They promised patrol presence. That night, I barely slept. 3 days later, I heard a soft cough outside, behind my trash bins, the same announcer cough he used in the aisles. I stepped outside slowly, phone in hand, ready to dial. Nothing. Empty yard. Just the neighbor's dog whining softly at the fence line, ears pinned back. But on my porch rail sat a shipping label, blank, freshly peeled, still warm. Something tells me he's still observing. My name is Evan, and I work the overnight shift at Walmart. I never planned on staying here this long. I'm 24, living in a tiny apartment with a roommate who pays his half of the rent only when I remind him 3 times. I told myself this was temporary, just until I found something better. But night shift has a way of lulling you into routine. One day bleeds into the next, and before you realize it, 8 months have slipped by. Every night I clock in at 10 p.m., watching the screen confirm my existence with that tired green glow. The break room always smells like burnt coffee and microwave noodles, as if the smell has soaked into the walls. I throw on the stiff navy vest, grab my handheld scanner, and step into the fluorescent purgatory. Tonight, I'm assigned to frozen foods again. The pallet towers wait like punishment, wrapped in plastic thick with frost. Stocking frozen is like standing in a walk-in refrigerator for hours, breathing cold air so sharp it stings. Customers wander in and out even this late. Truckers grabbing energy drinks, night shift nurses looking hollow-eyed, nursing mothers buying formula. But something about tonight feels heavy, like tension hanging from the ceiling. Around 11:20, Asset Protection walks by. His name is Rodriguez, early 40s maybe, stocky with tired eyes and a mustache he's constantly fidgeting with. "You seen a man in a black hoodie?" he asks. I shake my head and keep stacking pizzas. "We had a camera glitch earlier," he mutters. Same time he wandered in. "Keep an eye out." Then he disappears around the corner. My gut tightens a little. Camera glitches never seem to happen on boring nights. I try to ignore it and focus on the familiar rhythm. Slice open a box, scan the barcode, face items forward. It becomes automatic, mechanical, but a few minutes later I feel eyes on me. When I look toward the end of the aisle, a man stands there, motionless. Black hoodie, hands buried deep in his pockets. I give a neutral smile, the one retail workers are trained to show the world. "Need help finding anything?" I ask. His head tilts almost imperceptibly. "No," he says softly. He never blinks. A shiver crawls under my jacket. Then he turns and walks away. Midnight break rolls around and I slump into a plastic chair in the break room. Everyone else looks just as wrecked. We laugh weakly about nothing important, scrolling through our phones like zombies. Burnt coffee scalds my tongue, but the heat feels good. The break ends too quickly, and we shuffle back out to the empty aisles like prisoners returning to their cells. I return to Frozen and notice movement again. Black hoodie, near electronics, pretending to browse controllers. Except his eyes aren't on the shelves. They're watching the overhead cameras. He keeps glancing at corners, exits, blind spots. My stomach knots tighter. I radio quietly, "Asset, hoodie guy and electronics." Static crackles, then Rodriguez responds, "I'm on him." I see him a minute later, approaching the man casually, speaking in low tones. The man shrugs, moves away. For a while, nothing happens. The store settles into that weird after-midnight silence, the kind that makes you notice every hum in the building. A mother pushes a cart full of diapers and snacks, whispering to a crying baby. A trucker buys cigarettes and scratches the back of his neck. Everything feels normal enough, until shouting erupts near customer service. I push my pallet jack toward the sound. The man in the hoodie is arguing with the customer service associate. "You calling me a thief?" he growls. His voice is low, dangerous. The associate stammers, shaking her head. "Sir, I'm just saying we can't process returns without receipts at this time." He slams his palm on the counter, hard enough to make her jump. I reach for my radio again, heart thudding. "Asset service desk," I say quietly. Within seconds, Rodriguez arrives, speaking calmly, hands open like someone trying not to spook a wild animal. He guides the man toward the asset protection office near the photo center. The door closes behind them. 20 minutes later, the intercom crackles with a tone I've never liked. Code 8, assistance to asset protection. A cold lump settles in my stomach. That's escalation, suspected criminal detainment. I abandon my pallet and walk fast, nerves buzzing. Associates whisper in clumps, customers freeze in place. Then someone yells, "He ran!" I catch a glimpse of the man sprinting toward the back emergency exit, Rodriguez chasing him. The man slams his weight into the metal bar. Alarms shriek like sirens. He disappears into the night. Rodriguez leans against the wall, out of breath. A manager is already dialing the police. I stand there, heart pounding, feeling useless. The buzz lasts for an hour. We talk about it in low voices. "He'll be back," someone says. "Guys like that always come back." I don't like how certain they sound. Around 3:45, I take carts in from the parking lot. The night air is cold, damp, and the yellow parking lot lights flicker sporadically. As I push a long line of carts toward the doors, I see someone smoking by the far corner of the building. Dark clothes, hood up, watching the store. I pretend I didn't see him. I hurry inside, lock the gate behind me, ignoring the prickling sensation on the back of my neck. I tell Rodriguez. He swears under his breath and radios the front. 2 police cruisers show up briefly, sweeping the lot with spotlights. They leave after a few minutes, believing the threat scared off. Comforting words don't settle well when your heart knows better. By 4:30, the store feels uneasy. I help in general merchandise, cutting open pallets of lamps and pillows with co-workers Angie and Ben. The overhead lights flicker once, twice, like a dying heartbeat. Angie groans, "Not again." Last week, the power blinked and the ice cream melted everywhere. We laugh awkwardly, but I keep noticing movement in my peripheral vision. Shadows shift at the end of aisle 18. When I turn fully, nothing is there. I tell myself I'm exhausted. That night shift plays tricks on tired brains. Around 5:10, I go back to Frozen to finish zoning. The store feels heavier than ever. I kneel to straighten boxes of chicken tenders, frost numbing my fingers. Behind me, a voice says quietly, "Hey." My body freezes before my brain does. When I turn, the man in the hoodie is standing 6 feet away, inside the store again, hands stuffed in pockets, eyes flat and locked on me. "You're not supposed to be back here," I manage to say, my voice dry. He takes a step forward. "You called the cops," he whispers. I shake my head quickly. That wasn't me. He doesn't believe it. "You work here. You know the doors. Keys. Exits." His gaze flicks toward the back hallway door. "Get me out." I raise my hands out of instinct. "I can't." "I don't have keys." He steps closer. The freezer fans roar louder, drowning out my heartbeat. "We'll walk. You'll swipe the door." He's trying to sound calm, but desperation leaks through each word. Desperate people are unpredictable. I reach for my radio slowly. He notices. His jaw clenches. "Don't," he warns, soft but sharp enough to slice the air. My throat tightens. "Listen," I whisper. "Police are circling the lot. There are cameras everywhere. It's not worth it." His eyes dart between me and the door. He mutters, "I'm not going back. Not again." The meaning behind those words chills me deeper than the freezer. Suddenly, heavy bootsteps echo from the aisle entrance. "Hey!" Rodriguez's voice booms. The hooded man whips around. For one suspended second, nobody moves. Then he bolts. He crashes past me, shoulder slamming into my ribs, knocking me against the frozen door. Pain blossoms under my jacket. Rodriguez sprints after him, shouting into his radio. I stagger forward, vision blurry, and follow the sound of pounding footsteps. They tear down the hallway toward the garden center. The emergency exit shatters as the man slams through it, glass spraying across the concrete. Cold dawn air blasts inside, alarms shrieking again. I stop at the threshold and watch officers sprint across the parking lot, their shouts swallowed by the alarm's wail. The man disappears into the black edges of the lot like smoke. Police swarm the scene. Statements are taken. Radios chatter. Rodriguez rubs his chest, breathing hard. "That could have gone bad," he says quietly. "Thanks for not freezing." I want to laugh at the irony of that statement, but I'm too shaken. The sky begins to pale with morning. Day shift strolls in cheerfully, oblivious. Customers start rolling carts toward produce, comparing prices, arguing about cereal, completely unaware that a man desperate enough to break glass and threaten workers was just inside their store. At 7:05, I sit in my car staring at the steering wheel, hands shaking. The parking lot looks so normal again it feels unreal. Birds chirp, cars honk, and the flow of morning life continues as if nothing happened. But deep down, I know how thin the line really is. All night long, we joke about retail horror stories. We never talk about how close danger can get. It doesn't matter how many cameras you install. Desperation always finds blind spots. When I get home, I check the locks twice, then I collapse onto my mattress without changing clothes. My mind replays the man's whisper in the freezer aisle, the look in his eyes, the moment he said, "Not again." As sleep drags me under, one last thought sticks in my head like a splinter. Night shift starts again tonight, and sometimes the ones who get away come back. I used to like Walmart after midnight. Short lines, quiet aisles, no rush. But one night, a greeter welcomed me with a smile that didn't change, even when he stopped blinking. That smile followed me all the way to the parking lot. I got off work at 11:50 p.m. that Tuesday, too exhausted to cook. Light rain pattered on my windshield, making the streetlights shimmer like underwater fireflies. I decided to swing by Walmart, promising myself I'd be quick. Milk, bread, maybe something microwavable. Comfort food. The parking lot stretched wide and almost empty, cars parked far apart like they were afraid of touching. Fog drifted between the yellow lamps. A row of carts leaned lazily against the corral, one wheel gently swiveling on its own like it had somewhere to go. I parked under a light, grabbed my reusable bag, locked the doors and hurried across the wet asphalt. The automatic doors breathed open with a sigh. Warmth washed over me, lemon cleaner, floor polish, and a weird hint of stale popcorn from the cheap machine they never actually use. Just inside stood a greeter. He wore a blue Walmart vest, older style, the kind they haven't used for years. Stiff fabric, faded arc logo. His name tag was turned backward. He was tall, pale, gray hair parted neatly. But his smile, it stretched too wide, teeth too tight, like he practiced it in the mirror and forgot to stop. "Welcome in," he said softly, voice smooth as buttered paper. I nodded politely. "Thanks." He didn't blink. Not once. I tried to ignore the small jolt that crawled up my spine. Late shift can do weird things to your imagination. I grabbed a cart and rolled toward bakery. My footsteps echoed. Store announcements murmured overhead about clearance paper towels. The ceiling lights hummed like tired bees. 3 aisles away, I saw 2 employees restocking chips. Comforting. I found bread, checking expiration dates like a ritual. Then footsteps, soft leather shoes, approached behind me. For a second, I thought the greeter followed me. But when I turned, the aisle was empty, minus a cardboard display sagging under its own weight. I shrugged it off and pushed into dairy. Milk shelves glowed under softer lights. I opened a fridge door and grabbed a carton. The cool air fogged my glasses. When they cleared, I saw in the next aisle's reflection a silhouette standing perfectly still at the T intersection, not moving, facing me. It looked like the greeter's build, tall, calm posture, but I couldn't be sure. Reflection warps everything. I moved on. Prepared meals smelled like warm plastic. Microwave dinners sat like little soldiers ready to die for your convenience. As I compared sodium levels, something flickered in my peripheral vision. Movement past the aisle entrance. A blue vest. Then gone. My heartbeat bumped harder. I wheeled into personal care to grab toothpaste. Footsteps again, but wrong pacing. Too fast, one slow, pause, then too fast. It sounded like someone limping on purpose. I peeked around the corner. The greeter stood at the end, hands clasped behind his back, smile still plastered on. "Can I help you find something?" he asked. "No," I said, voice too high. "Just browsing." He didn't move. We don't see many customers this late. It's nice to have company. Something in the way he said company made my stomach tighten. I forced a smile and backed down the aisle, effectively trapped until I picked a direction. I turned into household cleaners. Bright, chemical-smelling, long. Halfway down, I noticed something peculiar. The security camera above this aisle was turned slightly away, cable dangling exposed in the ceiling tile. Someone had rotated it manually. I swallowed. A shuffle echoed behind me. Not footsteps. Fabric rubbing, the kind you hear when someone stops short. I pushed forward faster. At the end of the aisle, an overnight stock worker stacked bleach bottles. He glanced at me, then over my shoulder. He frowned. That told me everything. Someone was there. "You good?" he whispered. "Yeah," I lied. "Stay by, people," he muttered. "Night's been weird." I was halfway relieved until the store intercom crackled overhead, voice distant. "Associates, code amber aisle 7. The stalker stiffened. "That's here." Code amber? I hadn't heard that one. He grabbed his pallet jack like a shield. "You should stick near the front. he murmured. I nodded, pushed my cart toward self-checkout. At the registers, only one associate worked. She smiled, tired but real. Real feels safe. I started scanning. Bread, milk, toothpaste. Something brushed my jacket. I jumped. A child-sized mannequin cart, empty, rolled past on its own momentum, but there was no kid to push it. It drifted in slow, lazy circles before stopping near the walkway. The associate frowned. "Who left that?" she muttered. I scanned faster. Overhead, the intercom chimed again, but this time the voice wasn't the familiar feminine tone. It was lower, flat, like reading from a script. "All guests, please use the side exit." The associate blinked. "We don't close side exits at night," she whispered. The hair on my arms prickled. The greeter stood near the main doors now, hands folded, smile unchanged. He watched every register, head turning only when someone finished scanning. I pretended to search my bag to buy time, watching from the corner of my eye. He didn't blink. His posture was unnatural, spine too straight, shoulders too square. I finished paying, receipt printing painfully slow. The printer jammed. The associate leaned over to fix it. Her motion blocked my view just long enough. When she moved, the greeter was suddenly closer. 10 feet away, smile wide, name tag flipped backward. "I can help you with that," he whispered. "No thank you," I said quickly. He leaned too close, breath warm. "I've seen you park before. Far side, near the tree line. Smart, harder to get boxed in." Adrenaline burned through my veins. "I'm going to walk around," I muttered, grabbing my bag and beelining toward electronics. I didn't care about games or DVDs, I just needed people between us. The aisle was empty. Lights dimmed slightly, store power save mode. My footsteps thudded louder than they should. Behind me, leather shoes, uneven again, too fast, pause, too fast. I snapped right into the toy section. Plush dolls stared blankly from shelves, smiling in plastic forever. In the gap between two racks, I caught a glimpse of blue vest fabric drifting by. I crouched, heart hammering. Through the shelf holes, I saw his shoes stop, then turn, slowly. I bit my lip and reached for my phone. No signal bars inside the store's back corner. I felt sick. A loud beep startled me, an employee bringing out a pallet of puzzles. Relief washed over me like warm water. I stood and joined her. "Lost someone?" she asked casually. "Nope," I said too quickly. She squinted. "Don't go near Garden Center tonight. Doors are jammed." I nodded, committing that to memory. The squeak of leather shoes faded for a moment. I used that window, headed straight for the busiest visible location, the pharmacy side. Except, the pharmacy gate was half pulled shut and taped over the glass, due to incident, closed until further notice. My skin crawled. I looped toward the vestibule, planning to exit immediately. The greeter stood directly in the middle of the walkway. "Leaving so soon?" he asked. "I'm tired. That's when mistakes happen." I attempted to go around. He shifted one step, blocking. Smile never faded. "Side exit," he murmured. "This one's locked for stalking." I glanced at the automatic doors. They were open seconds ago. Now the glass was dark. The associate tapped on them from inside, confused, mouthing, "They're dead." The greeter held something behind his back, just a small object, but hidden, and his name tag gleamed now, flipped forward. Guest observation. No name. No dates. No employee number. My voice shook. "I'm going through Garden Center." His smile faltered for the first time. "That door isn't safe." "Good," I whispered. "Maybe you won't follow." I sprinted. He moved faster than his age suggested, shoes slapping tile like wet applause. I dodged through seasonal. Lanterns bobbed overhead. I slammed through double doors toward garden. Rain pelted metal shelves outside. Cold slapped my face. A security lock hung loose, broken. I slipped through, dragging my cart as noise cover. He slammed against the glass behind me, unable to exit because the magnetic strip hadn't disengaged from his side. He tapped, then smiled again, teeth too even. "You'll be back," he mouthed. I fled across the parking lot, maybe 50 yards to my car, key fumbled in shaking fingers. Behind me, I heard nothing. Not footsteps, not yelling. But on my windshield, protected under the wiper, was a printed receipt, time-stamped 10 minutes ago. Items: milk, bread, toothpaste, tracking fee. A chill buried itself in my stomach. No price, no total, just tracking fee. Under associate was printed, guest observation. I drove home shaking, reported it next day. Manager said, "We don't employ anyone by that title." Police pulled footage. Cameras and cosmetics went static whenever he passed. His face blurred on every angle. He never triggered a door sensor. Security footage showed me entering alone. But not him. Still, 2 nights later, I heard soft leather footsteps on my porch. Too fast, pause, too fast. Through the peephole, I saw no one. But hanging on the handle, a backward name tag. I thought I was just grabbing cough drops and batteries, but the aisles had been rearranged. Not the shelves, the people. Late-night shoppers moved in quiet patterns, like a rehearsal, and when the lights dimmed, I learned the price tags were not prices at all. It started like any other late-night Walmart run. 12:28 a.m., a cool breeze skimming the parking lot, light rain making halos out of the yellow lamps. I parked near the cart corral, where the cameras can see you in the carts clack like soft metronomes. Inside, the air smelled like lemon cleaner and cardboard. House music dribbled from the speakers, instrumental, sleepy. I grabbed a basket instead of a cart to stay light on my feet. Milk, batteries, cough drops, and maybe a cheap throw blanket. I told myself 20 minutes, in and out. The store felt emptier than usual. Seasonal was half dismantled, heart garlands drooping like vines. A squeaky pallet jack beeped somewhere near paper goods. The rest was silence and distant hums, the building's long breath. Normal enough. First red flag, a cluster of customers standing too still at the mouth of aisle 12. 3 of them, no carts, no baskets, all staring at an end cap of candles as if the labels might change. I paused at the corner to avoid brushing past them. Their heads tilted in the same way, the exact same angle, as if a whispered command had pressed down on the right side of each skull. One of them, an older woman with a knit cap, moved only her eyes to look at me and smiled. Too politely. "Sale tonight?" I joked, nodding toward the candles. "Price is whatever you can carry," she said, tone even, like she memorized it. Then she turned her head back to the end cap on the same beat as the others. Okay. Weird. I backed away. I cut across to pharmacy. On the cold medicine aisle, a man in a faded denim jacket stood with a paper list and a stubby pencil. Old school shopping behavior, but he wasn't reading it. He was tapping the pencil in sets of 4 on the shelf. Tag holders. Tap, 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 tap. Footsteps passed behind me, slow, careful, stopping when I stopped. I picked up cough drops and a small bottle of vitamins. When I glanced back, the denim jacket man had moved closer without turning his body, just slid along the shelf like a chess piece. His pencil paused over a plastic clip, and I saw someone had scratched tiny lines into it, 5 short marks, a cluster of tally strokes. I walked away. Calmly. My chest tightened like a fist. In batteries, I saw something stranger. Every shelf tag in the middle row was turned the tiniest bit clockwise, not enough to notice unless you cared. The outer tag stayed straight. It made a subtle arrow if you followed it. Not pointing to a product, but toward the center of the aisle where the scuffed tile looked darker than the rest. I stepped over the darker scuff instinctively and kept moving. Second red flag, an employee, or someone dressed as one, wheeled a ladder past, wearing a blue vest with no nameplate, no barcode scanner, no box cutter on the loop. He smiled politely without showing teeth. "You finding everything?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. He held up a roll of blank orange clearance stickers. The roll was untouched. "If you need a better price," he added, "tell me your middle name." "I'm good," I said too quickly. "Everyone is good," he murmured, "until we say the last price." He kept wheeling the ladder. He didn't use it. I changed aisles. Housewares was bright and chemical clean. From there I could see down to aisle 12 again. More people had gathered by the candles, not shopping, just arranged. The overhead music glitched and stuttered on a single sustained note like an organ warming up. A woman in a red coat crossed from household cleaners to the main artery with a basket full of nothing but brown paper lunch bags. She didn't look at me, but I saw one corner of a bag unfold. Inside, someone had written numbers in thick black marker, then folded it 3 times with clean, precise edges. I told myself to pay and get out. Straight line to self-checkout. But I had to pass the bathrooms. From the hallway, soft voices drifted, not words, just a rhythm of breath, like people practicing whispering in unison. The family restroom sign hung crooked. I leaned around the corner. The door was closed, but a sliver of fluorescent light traced the floor. A shadow moved across the crack. It stopped when I stopped. I backed into the main floor as a stalker rolled by with paper towels. He looked normal, tired, human. I stepped with him like I'd planned it. "Busy night?" I asked. He didn't look at me. "We're not supposed to talk to non-participants," he said softly. That froze my legs. "Non-participants," I repeated. The stalker's eyes flicked to my basket. "You should go." "I'm trying." "Then stop asking questions and go," he said, voice cracking now, like a genuine person buried beneath a script. I headed for self-checkout. On the way, I passed toys. A man stood in the middle of the aisle, hands pressed flat to his sides, face tilted to the ceiling, eyes closed. He whispered a set of numbers and swayed. The numbers weren't prices. They were too long. They sounded like barcodes spoken back to the shelves. At self-checkout, all 4 kiosks showed the same error screen. "Please see attendant." The attendant chair was empty, a blue jacket draped on it neatly. The jacket had a name badge pinned upside down so you couldn't read the name. A single receipt printed from a machine curling to the floor, blank except for one line. Subtotal. Remember, I went to a regular register. No one. Even customer service was unstaffed, the call bell silent, the light on. In the reflection of the plexiglass, I saw people at aisle 12 rotate all at once, 1/4 turn, like a clock hand clicking forward. False moment of safety. I spotted a uniformed security guard near the vestibule, mid-40s, clean-shaven, hand on radio. I moved toward him fast, relief making my steps too loud. "Hey, sorry. Something's wrong near aisle 12. People are, He held up his palm. "Quiet while they set the aisle." "Set the aisle?" I repeated. "Corporate thing," he said. "A demonstration." "Of what?" "Price memory," he said, and smiled without humor. "Go stand by pharmacy. It'll be over in a minute." He looked like a guard. He sounded like a guard, but none of what he said made sense. Behind him, through the glass, I saw the parking lot. A few cars, rain beating. My stomach told me not to step outside yet. I drifted back toward pharmacy, then slid into paper goods. From there, I could watch aisle 12 without being obvious. The crowd around the candles had grown to maybe 15 people. Some held those folded brown bags. Others held nothing, hands empty and careful. And then the real danger showed itself. The music cut out. The store went too quiet. The greeter chime that usually plays when someone enters dinged once, twice, 3 times. No one came through the doors. A man with the neat vest and no nameplate stepped to the center of aisle 12 and lifted a long strip of blank shelf tags like a ribbon. He stretched it between his hands and the silent cluster turned to face him. He spoke so softly, I couldn't hear words, but the crowd answered in a single breath, an exhale that sounded practiced. They each unfolded their brown bags. Inside were small objects, plastic price clips, slivers of barcodes cut from packaging, and what looked like pieces of receipt paper folded into shapes. The neat vest man nodded, and the crowd began moving, each person sliding their tiny objects into pre-chosen places, under the lip of an end cap, into the crack of a tile, behind the back of a peg hook. Footsteps rose and fell around the store, matching that work rhythm. 4 counts, pause, 4 counts. I realized with a cold, slow certainty that they weren't shopping, they were mapping, using the store like a board, using the tags as coordinates, using the aisles as routes, narrow passages to funnel whoever wasn't participating. I made for the garden side exit. The doors shivered but didn't open. A handwritten note taped to the glass read, "Restock equals hold." In the reflection, I saw the older woman from earlier. Knit cap, the polite smile. She was right behind me. "You should be at pharmacy," she said gently. "You're not priced yet." "I'm leaving," I said. "Not yet," she whispered with something like pity. "You might get the wrong total." I bolted. She didn't chase. I cut through grocery, past the cooler doors that gave soft reflections of the aisles. In each glossy panel I caught the same shape at different distances, someone in a blue vest stepping into my path just before I turned. I adjusted, weaving, listening for wheels or beeps. There were none. Only the breath pattern whisper and the soft lift of tags being turned a single degree clockwise. At the bathroom hall, the family restroom door opened a crack on its own. From inside, the whisper rhythm changed to a counting flex. 1, 2, 3, hold. 1, 2, 3, hold. I moved faster. At the corner of electronics, I collided with a real employee, the same stalker as before. His hands shook. He shoved a lanyard into my palm. "Take this," he said. "Looks official." "What is it?" "Old training badge. Won't scan, but it'll look right. If they ask you to speak your middle name, don't." "Why?" "That's how they count you." He nudged me toward the main doors. "When you see the greeter, tap the tag roll 3 times, walk through. Don't stop." As if summoned by the words, the greeter appeared at the front, not the usual older man. This one's face felt too smooth. He held a roll of tags and tapped. 1, 2, 3. The cluster in aisle 12 stopped moving. The neat vest leader lifted his blank strip again. All heads turned toward me, though I hadn't moved yet. My skin prickled as if heat lamps snapped on. I walked toward the doors, badge tucked where a badge should go. The greeter's smile was so thin it could cut paper. He watched my feet, not my face. I reached the vestibule. The outside doors didn't open. "Speak your middle name," the greeter said softly. Behind me, an aisle of people lifted their arms, palms out like waiting scanners. "No," I said. He tapped the tag roll once. "We need a total." I looked at the security guard. He stared blankly, radio in hand, no reaction. I remembered the stalker's voice. "Looks official, don't speak the name." I held up the fake badge like a passport. "Already counted," I said, hoping the lie would land. The greeter's eyes flicked to the lanyard. A tiny crease appeared in his brow, first human emotion I'd seen. He tilted his head, listening to something I couldn't hear. The crowd behind me lowered their hands in the same beat. He tapped the tag roll again, once, twice, 3 times. The doors slid open an inch, then fully, as if the building took a breath and decided I wasn't worth the calculation. Cold night air hit my face. Rain had faded to a mist. I stepped out. Footsteps followed, light, measured. I didn't look back until I was at my car. When I did, the greeter stood just inside the glass, roll of tags in both hands like prayer beads. The crowd dispersed in perfect, gentle lines, as if aisles were currents carrying them away. I drove to the edge of the lot and pulled into a dark corner under a broken lamp to breathe. My phone shook in my hand. I called the store. No answer. I called again. On the 3rd try, someone picked up and said my first name before I gave it. Then they said my middle name, precisely, calmly. I hung up so hard my thumb hurt. Aftermath felt like an errand. I filed a police report the next day. The officer kept a neutral face until I mentioned the brown bags. He flipped his notepad and wrote something underlined twice. "3rd time this month," he said. "Different stores, same details." The store manager called me back 2 days later and invited me to view camera footage. We watched the tape from aisle 12. People stood, people turned, people moved in lines. But the neat vest leader never showed. He was a blur that strobed every other frame, a human-shaped dropout. When he lifted the blank tag ribbon, the timestamp froze for a second, then jumped ahead. At the front doors, the greeter's face was a smear whenever he tapped the roll 3 times. The audio track caught the whisper count perfectly, though. 1, 2, 3, hold. Like someone inside the walls was practicing their breath. The manager looked tired. We had inventory discrepancies that night. Nothing missing, just wrong numbers. He offered me a gift card for the trouble. I declined. I changed my habits. I shop daytime only. I don't speak my middle name to anyone. Not on forms, not on the phone. I don't pick up late-night calls from numbers I don't know. When I walk aisles, I keep an eye on shelf tags. If they're turned even a little, I leave. A week later, I found a brown paper bag on my porch, folded with clean, precise edges. Inside was a single strip of blank shelf tags and a receipt printed with only 1 line. Total, pending. The bag smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and wet cardboard. Last night, my doorbell camera recorded 3 soft taps at 3:12 a.m., like someone counting. Then a whisper through the speaker grill. Price is whatever you can carry. If you have made this far, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Your support matters a lot. And also tell me in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is right now.